Welcome to the Bush League Huddle Fantasy Football Podcast. We're just 10 days away from the NFL Draft, and you know what that means? It's time for Mock Draft Monday. This is version 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, our first and only full round mock draft where Fab, Nacc, and myself, Raj, take turns making picks through a draft class loaded with talent in the trenches and off the edge. Let's get into it. I and the Titans are on the clock.
Let's go.
I can't wait to hear that music live.
I know, man. It's so sweet. That chime is so sweet. I hope we don't get copyright infringement.
Wow.
So we'll see when we upload it on YouTube. But the Tennessee Titans are on the clock. Very easy choice. They badly need a QB. Can't go through the Will Levis experiment again. So we are taking Cam Ward of Miami, Florida. Look, I don't think he's the number one prospect. I don't think anyone had him as the number one prospect in the draft, but he's by far the number one QB, so this is an easy choice. And Brian Callahan and that regime need a lot of juice emphasis, so that's the pick on that front.
What do you think, like Will Levis, do you think he's upset? Do you think he demands to be traded? Do you think, I guess you hope he's like that, first of all, but...
So I just spoke to him on the phone as general manager of the Titans. I told him it's going to be open competition. Cam Ward's coming in as a rookie. Look, like similar to how the Commanders did with Jaden Daniels. Nothing is given; everything has to be earned. But yeah, I'm knowing the type of moxie he has. He's pretty pissed.
Yeah.
This one was pretty much a no-brainer, though. They've been talking about this for weeks. They've had private workouts. Remember when they canceled even Shedeur's workout, the private one they had with him. So
that's right.
This one,
we like him so much as the Titans. If we had the number one pick, if we had a top pick overall last year, we would have taken him at least after Drake May. So that's how much we like him.
Interesting.
Roger with his Tennessee Titans hat on. We like him so much.
Hey, I gotta play character. The Cleveland Browns are on the clock. Nacc?
Yes, this one was a tough decision. We also potentially need a quarterback. I know we just signed Joe Flacco to be our backup, and we traded for Kenny Pickett. Not necessarily the two we want to go to the regular season with. But we are going to go ahead and take talent over the QB need, and we are going to draft Mr. Travis Hunter, wide receiver cornerback out of Colorado.
I feel like that one's worth the chime. It's worth it. It's worth it.
Yeah, I think this is probably the best, if not the second best prospect, probably in the whole draft. I think they need talent, or we need talent. I think that's what we're going with. I'm the actual GM. We definitely need some talent, and I don't know. Maybe we revisit coming back into the top of the draft, and we see, or the bottom end of the draft, and we see what we could do. But for now, let's go Travis Hunter, and we're really happy with that pick.
It slides Cedric Tillman, Jerry Jeudy, Elijah Moore down perfectly. Like, he's a perfect number one, and have those guys as number twos and number threes. I think it's a great pick. You couldn't go either way. You couldn't go wrong either way with it, whether it's him or Abdul Carter.
Yeah. I just hope they don't ruin him.
I mean, you don't ruin him.
Yeah, I don't want to play the GM. I want to play me as the mock GM.
Is Deshaun Watson still there?
Not this year.
I mean, he's in the building.
I mean, he's making a comeback. He's been posting all those workout videos.
The owner spoke about him. I don't think he's going to be in the building for much longer. And I think they're probably still trying to find a way out of that contract with him re-tearing that Achilles. Maybe not in the right manner, or he wasn't supposed to be doing something. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Very interesting times lie ahead for the Cleveland Browns.
The Giants are on the clock. Fab.
Here he goes.
I don't get a chime. You don't get a chime.
I don't
get a chime.
We said
drafting the best rated player in this draft, arguably. The Giants select out of Penn State
Oh,
Abdul Carter. We are also going with talent over need. Abdul Carter is a absolute stud. He is a disruptor on the defensive line. He wears the number 11, and if you have any idea how Micah Parsons been doing, you can have a good assumption as to how Abdul Carter is going to be doing. Too much talent to pass up. I know that the defensive line right now was already quote unquote stacked with Brian Burns,
Don't matter.
Dexter Lawrence, Tavon Thibodeau. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. This guy is a stud. Um, it's going to be very nice to see him line up opposite of Brian Burns with Dexter Lawrence in the middle, and then having Thibodeau to come in as a sub on relief. Like this is going to be
And
a defensive front that are going to give a lot of problems to Jaden Daniels and Dak Prescott and Jalen Hurts in that division. So this, in my opinion, this is one of the few can't miss picks, I think. And I know that the Giants recently came out with some news that there are going to be also hosting Shedeur Sanders in a private workout. To me, this is just a lot of due diligence. To me, this is also I mean, they were always going to do a private workout with Shedeur Sanders. I don't think this is really news. I think just the fact that it's happening on a certain date is it might be popping up on people's Twitter feeds. But um, I think it's the moment that there was news that the Cleveland Browns were going to be going Travis Hunter now. Abdul Carter slid down to 3. You got to pick him. You got to pick him.
Blue chip prospect. That's
100%.
everything I've been seeing on Twitter from these draft analysts. You don't pass up on blue chip prospects. I think to your point, it's do your due diligence as a trade back into the first round scenario. And as a Giants fan, I don't know about you, Fab, but like I'm very much warming up to this pick. Like
So am I.
I'm very, very excited about it, especially considering Thibodeau has been, he hasn't been an amazing, like he's been good. He's shown flashes, but I love this pick.
No, he definitely hasn't lived up to I think it was 5th overall that we drafted him.
yeah, I thought he was going to be a lot better.
Yeah, so have I, and I know there's been a lot of conversation about if they're going to pick up his option year, his 5th year option on his contract. And now I've just been hearing some rumbles. I don't know how accurate
No,
this is. That
they likely don't pick up that option.
no, they don't. But I've also been hearing some conversations that he might even be traded on draft night. So you add all those things together, it just makes sense that Abdul Carter is the
definitely becomes expendable if you draft Carter. That's for sure.
Listen, he's gonna be a rotational player, and don't get me wrong, I would love it. Like the Giants won 2 Super Bowls on the heels of having a top end front four.
Legit.
So I mean, the recipe is there, and you even saw it last year too. Well, recently, I guess this year in February when the Eagles won. I'm not saying we're as good as the Eagles, but when you pressure the quarterback, it makes it a lot harder for the offense to do anything, right? So,
Love the pick. At pick 4, the Patriots are on the clock. This is
Shedeur Sanders.
This is a tough one. I'm going with Armand Membou, offensive tackle from Missouri. The consensus pick here is Will Campbell, but the under 33-inch arms concerns me. There's been some reports and there's been statistics that show that offensive tackles at that arm length or shorter do not fare as well in the NFL. Membou last year, 411 pass pro attempts, 0 sacks allowed. I know he has a better propensity or a better he seems more geared towards being a right end, but a right tackle, excuse me. But there's been many players that have made the switch from right tackle to left tackle. Tristan Wirfs, Andrew Whitworth, Fuaga, all guys who've been at or near Pro Bowl level while making the switch. And I just think Campbell is more suited to being a guard with his makeup. And I just can't see myself taking a guard for the Patriots at 4, such a key position to be able to protect Drake May with everything that we've done in terms of the offense and the defense. So Armand Membou is the pick for me.
I like it. Yeah, Drake May is going to need protection. It's that simple. And Membou graded very, very, very well. This is another blue chick prospect too. You can't go wrong taking a tackle this high.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see if that actually happens in real life, because there's been a lot of buzz that Membou might be the better prospect considering his size, but we'll have to see.
Well, the 0 sacks allowed on 411 pass protection snaps really jumps off the page, right? I think
in the
that's
SEC.
yes.
Like it doesn't matter whether you're left or right tackle.
Yeah.
Like there's athletes everywhere. Nacc, you're on the clock with the Jaguars. Number 5.
Man, I was going back and forth with this, but they need a lot of help on defense. They were 20th in sacks last year. Let's go Mason Graham out of Michigan.
Stud.
I
Yeah,
love this pick.
Stud.
I think he's the top defensive lineman in the draft.
Yeah.
A lot of guys, teams liked this guy and brought him in for a visit. The Patriots even could have taken a guy like this, I feel, but they really needed to prioritize the O line. But yeah, teams. I think Jacksonville's going to love this pick. They need to hit. They've missed out on some top picks recently, and I think they get a stud here at number 5 for many seasons to come.
Ashton Genty, you don't want to do Genty for the Jaguars, considering
Honestly, I thought about it.
because
I
you've
thought about it
been
because
talking
You said that last episode.
yeah, I was the one who brought it up. Like I could see it. I'm just trying to go more logical here than off the books. Um, like, look, 2-time All-American. This guy, 2-time Big Ten national championship in 2024, bringing in some quality guys with winning mentality in their lineup is going to be amazing. Yeah, I don't know, man. I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. I know they have those 2 running backs already, and
I agree with you.
No,
When you
this was the pick. This was the pick based on best player available and need as well. Like the
yeah,
Jaguars
they
need help on
need
the
and
defensive
best player
line,
available.
and
Exactly.
he is the top defensive line prospect right now. So I this is a smart pick on all accounts, in my opinion.
agreed. Fab at number 6. Las Vegas Raiders on the clock.
Let's have a little fun in Vegas, boys. Let's have a little fun in Vegas. We're gonna go the well runner up, I suppose. But yeah, a lot of people thought he should have won the Heisman Trophy. Ashton Genty, running back out of Boise State. There it is. There it is. The Raiders have their running back for the next decade.
Decade?
Full stop. Full stop.
Decade's a long time for running back. 10 years? I
Yeah,
don't know
well,
about 10 years.
why not?
He's had
8 years.
He's had a
8 years.
decade's worth of carries at Boise State.
When you said that last episode, my that can't be right. In high school, he never played running back. He only played running back in college. So although he's had a lot of snaps in college, it's still a small sample size. The kid's fresh.
You're burying the lead. What did he play in high school?
Wide receiver.
Holy shit.
Interesting.
Yeah, he played wide receiver.
Didn't mean to swear, but man, that guy playing wide receiver.
Yeah. So I know the Raiders could use a wide receiver here, but the talent that's on the board right now for Ashton Genty cannot be overlooked. The wide receiver class is very deep. You can pick one up in the second round or even the third round or like some day 2 or day 3 guys and still be able to complement Geno Smith and that offense. At the same time, there already is still Brock Bowers and Jacoby Myers. And all they were really missing, in my opinion, is a stud running back, which they got in Genty. This is for me. This was a very easy pick. He goes to a very good environment right now too, and you figure with Pete Carroll, they're going to run the ball a lot, and they're going to need a top end running back to do that. And unfortunately, Mostert is not that guy anymore. So Ashton Genty is going to be the lead dog. And even from a fantasy perspective, I think this is also going to be a fantastic pick too. We said it a few weeks ago. Depending on where he goes, he can be a top 10 running back in the league next year from a fantasy perspective. I think this is one of those scenarios.
Yeah, and there was a Twitter post that our buddy Nick from Partial Breakaway, I think he tagged our Twitter feed in how the Raiders might not have enough of a run blocking scheme for Genty. They're middle of the pack run blocking, according to PFF, 63.5, around the likes of the Chargers and the Cowboys and the Ravens even. So I think they'll have to shore up the offensive line in this draft. I think Genty's the type of guy where he should be able to mask whatever a mediocre offensive line does.
Yeah, you saw what Saquon Barkley did in his rookie season, right? And the Giants never really had an offensive line. So you have to assume the same thing is going to happen here. When talent is there, you can't pass up on it. And you figure it out later on, I
This
guess.
feels like a Jameer Gibbs, Bijan Robinson, like
Yes.
can't pass up at this point,
Yeah.
especially when you have
Yeah.
a need. Like they weren't going into the season with Raheem Mostert as their RB1. That's
No.
just tragic, especially after you kind of. I'm not so certain. I'm not sold on Geno Smith being the answer, but at least you have someone competent back there, and you haven't in many, many years. You have not had that, safer bet QB. Like he's above average, I guess, QB in the league. Adding a Genti is just going to help him out even more, especially with dump offs and stuff like that. Obviously, QB's best friend, but
And Genti, he averaged 11.1 yards after the catch, and he forced 41 missed tackles during his college career. So
he's going to look mean in that uniform,
He's
man.
gonna be so
he's
good,
gonna
man.
look great.
I can't see him not being successful in the league personally. Jets 7th pick in the first round. This is where I got to go. Will Campbell. He's there. He's available. Consider Tyler Warren. Honestly, Tyler Warren.
Been a lot of buzz about that.
A lot of buzz. Just from a positional value standpoint, a tight end 7th overall. If you look at his production, he's only had one really, really good year. The previous year, he was at 400 something yards, I think, receiving, and before that, it was very marginal stats. So just couldn't pass up Will Campbell despite the potential issues with his arm length. And Jets were middle of the pack last year in PFF pass block rate. Olufashano hasn't lived up to the hype yet. So I think Campbell will be either a very solid tackle or guard for the Jets for a very long time. Nacc, you are on the clock at number 8 for the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, so I could have gone maybe high wide receiver here, making, take a Tet McMillan, or should I say Tetroya McMillan, even a Matthew Golden or something like that. I know that they've been, like they really want that number one guy, but I got to go defense here, man. I'm going to go with Mikael Williams out of Georgia, the edge.
Whoa.
Yeah.
They allowed 534 points last year, 6,900 yards. That was second most in history. Over 3,000 rushing yards, which is third most all time, and 35 passing TDs, which was a league high. They need to get to the quarterback, and they need some kind of defense. So I'm going hard on the defense for Carolina in this draft.
I agree with the defensive pick. I'm just wondering, why didn't you go Shedeur Stewart or Jalen Walker?
Jalen Walker was the one.
Yeah.
Did you mess up on the? Did you submit to Goodell the wrong Georgia?
No, I didn't. No, I like Mikael Williams a lot.
Okay, fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough. I like the defensive pick for the Panthers personally.
Yeah,
I feel it would be very old regime for them to take a wide receiver where they have Thielen, they have, let's see what you got out of Leggett. There's that Jalen Coker guy who I think a lot of people liked too last year.
Yeah, he was pretty good.
He's pretty good. So I like this pick. Fab, the New Orleans Saints are on the clock at number 9.
Well, this is an interesting scenario for the Saints. I had put this pick in before the news that broke about Derek Carr, so I think this pick all becomes even more confirmed. The New Orleans Saints are going to draft out of Colorado, Shedeur Sanders.
What are you doing?
Why are you booing? Because you wanted him at 21.
No.
News broke that Derek Carr might not play the 2025 season. I don't think you can continue. I think they have to start looking at the future, quite frankly. And I think now's the best time to do it. You're getting Shedeur Sanders at 9. I think that's a very, very reasonable spot to get him. I know he hasn't necessarily been graded super high, but at the same time, I don't think you can pass up on the opportunity to help out in that QB room and then make a QB competition for 2025. Because obviously they have Spencer Rattler, Ben DiNucci, Jake Hayner right now. And then you add in Derek Carr, who might not play in 2025 at all. This is a good opportunity to swing for the fences a little bit and go QB. Take Shedeur Sanders, who has broken every single passing percentage record. He throws the deep ball well. He has an anticipatory throw that we've all spoken about already.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, he's a lot better than what a lot of people are making him out to be. He deserves to be a first-round pick in my books, and I think going to the Saints is a great opportunity for that too. He'll mesh in very well with Alvin Kamara, who is the GOAT when it comes to getting dump-off passes on the side, which is apparently Shedeur Sanders' go-to. And obviously Chris Olave too is going to be there, which will be a prime wide receiver for him. So I think this is a great spot for him.
That's when he's not in the infirmary.
Yeah.
I heard an interesting actually tidbit on McAfee today is they don't go Shedeur at 9. They start Rattler and potentially get the number 1 overall pick next year and get Archie. Just like,
can I just?
They're not bad enough.
It's not. Archie is not even. He's not even. It's not even a guarantee that he's going to go into the draft next year. A lot of people are talking about how let's tank this year and then get
going
Arch.
into
It's not even
the draft
guaranteed.
next year. He's 100% going into the draft next year.
After 1 year in college?
I would understand. This is going to be his second year in college.
1 year where he starts the whole season.
It doesn't matter. But
well, it matters a little bit.
Well, it depends what his NIL money is. I know this year he's making like $6 million. Like,
so you think he's going to make less next year? He's going to make more. He's going to make more nil.
Yeah, but he's going to make over 25 or 30 million to going in the NFL in the first round.
Yeah, for sure. Guys,
he's going to make a lot more.
I don't think he's going first overall after 13 starts, man. That is, I don't have it in front of me, but the hit rate of guys trying to get drafted either in the first round or any round of only 14 starts is I don't know. I don't see that happening.
Well, how many did you start last year? I know it's
like
obviously
Trey Lance and Anthony Richardson. Just look at those guys.
Exactly. I think that's an interesting tidbit. Someone that I know, I don't want to say it, but he said that he would just stick to Rattler, that Shedeur is as a 4th round QB, and he thinks Rattler is a better prospect.
I might have an idea as to who you're talking
about.
Yeah,
exactly.
Look, obviously it's going to go who knows, but I don't know. If you don't love him, why not stick with Rattler?
He was talented, man. A lot of people liked him in the pre-draft process.
I like Rattler.
Laser arm, tons of moxie. Anyways, we're gonna have a lot of time to dissect this pick if it does happen. I think though it's not a guarantee. This is the line in the sand for when the real draft happens for Shedeur Sanders. I think this is going to be the most polarizing name, one of the most polarizing names during the draft next week. Can't wait. Pick 10, Chicago Bears. This is easy. Could have went Tyler Warren as well, but we have Cole Kmet. I can't pass up on Jalon Walker. He can play edge or linebacker. Top 5 player in many big boards. Athletic freak. A lot of people saying he gives Roquan Smith vibes, where he could play literally anywhere on the kind of top part of the defense, whether on the D-line, edge, or even at linebacker. So really easy pick for me. This is clear best player available.
100%.
Fab 11. Oh, sorry. Nacc 11 pick, San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, Francisco 49ers. Not a sexy pick for the 49ers, but they definitely need help on the O-line, especially on the right-hand side. So I'm going to go Josh Simmons, Ohio State.
Yeah, I mean,
again, not a sexy name in the least, but
offensive linemen are never sexy picks though. And they're such a necessity. So
they just need help in the trenches. And I don't know, this guy, I feel to me fits the bill for the 49ers. They're about to pay Brock Purdy, right? All this money. You are going to need to keep him upright.
Yeah, this is pretty much consensus 3rd in big board offensive tackle. So he'd probably play right tackle for a bit and then eventually move to
maybe switch
when Trent Williams retires, which will happen soon. Fab, Dallas Cowboys at 12. You are on the clock.
Well, we've been saying this for a while now that CeeDee Lamb needs the Robin to his Batman. So the Dallas Cowboys are selecting out of Arizona Tet McMillan, the best wide receiver, pure wide receiver prospect. I'm only saying that because we got Travis Hunter there who plays every single position known to man. But a pure wide receiver prospect. Just two. I mean, he's He's a stud, man. I mean, he's a prototypical wide receiver, what you want as an X. I think this can also move Lamb into the slot a little bit, where he did play a little bit and did have some success as well. McMillan is a run after the catch threat. 29 forced tackles in 2024. First team All American, first team All Big 12, first team led Big 12 in receptions and receiving yards. Sorry. I mean, this is exactly what the Cowboys have needed. They needed that second wide receiver, and you can see the experiments that existed haven't really worked out all that well. So I think this is good. I think this is going to be the pick.
I don't like it. I don't like Tet McMillan with just the.
Yeah, you're not a big McMillan fan.
No, it's not even that. It's too like body type wise, speed wise. It's too similar to CeeDee Lamb. If I was gonna go wide receiver, this is where I would have. Matthew Golden might be too high, but I maybe would have trade down just because he has the juice to match with what CeeDee Lamb does. That's the only concern I have with this. I've come around to McMillan reading a bit more since we talked about the wide receivers last week. You didn't think running back, Fab?
I didn't think running back just because Genty was off the board, and I thought Omarion Hampton is a little bit too high over here. And again, there is a lot of value at running back and that you can get in day two. I thought about like I get what you're saying. You can see how they're similar in stature and in the way that they play. I think it won't really matter though. I think is that they can use CeeDee Lamb across the field. To be honest with you, I think
Yeah.
it might be more. It might pigeonhole McMillan a little bit more than it would to CeeDee Lamb. He's still going to eat. He's still going to get all of those receptions and all of those yards and all those touchdowns and all that stuff. It's not going to make a big difference in my opinion. And it's just another weapon for Dak in that offense.
Yeah, look, wide receiver, running back. Those must be one of the two picks. One of the picks for the Cowboys. Like it's a
like if Genty was there, I can see it being. That's why it was funny because we just randomly decided who was picking who, and I got the Raiders and I got the Cowboys, and I'm like, well, I can switch out one of these two, and it would still make sense. Like have McMillan go to the Raiders and then have Genty fall all the way to the Cowboys, but I don't think
I don't know
Genty
if we would have
falls.
got past the Bears.
That's exactly it. I don't think
No chance.
he would have fallen to the Cowboys.
No way. At pick 13 for the Miami Dolphins, Guido's Miami Dolphins, I am going safety Malachi Starks out of Georgia, replacement for Javon Holland.
Mhm.
Really solid in space and coverage. I think he's an immediate starter. I think safety will be the pick for the Dolphins. TBD if it's Starks or Nick Emenwari.
Yeah.
I like Starks a little bit more just because he seems like a better fit in coverage. Emenwari seems like more of a box safety. So that was the pick for me.
Yeah, that was gonna be my only question because I know those two are very closely ranked, and some people have Emenori a little bit higher than Starks, but I mean,
I like this pick. They're definitely gonna need someone back there.
100%.
Yeah, honestly, I thought wide receiver too. With the stuff with Tyreek Hill. I mean, QB as well could be interesting for the Dolphins, but I think they really need to shore up the safety position. Nacc at 14, pick 14, first round, Indianapolis Colts. You're on the clock.
Yeah, I'm going to select my boy out of Penn State, Mr. Tyler Warren, tight end. I think there's been a tight end lacking and missing in that offense for many years. This guy is a big boy, 6'6", 261 pounds, so he's going to be a huge target, especially in the red zone. And if you look at his stats in 2024, 104 receptions, 1,200 yards, 8 touchdowns, and 4 rushing touchdowns. I think they are starved for talent at the tight end position, and
Yeah.
Daniel Jones or AR or both get a shiny new toy to throw to.
They invested a ton on the defense
Yep.
in free agency, ton in secondary. They have the wide receivers. I like Josh Downs a lot. I think Michael Pitten's pretty solid too. Like to me, this is if he actually lasts until 14, what a pick.
Yeah.
But I think it's the right move, Nacc. Perfect call. Fab 15, Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, we're going defense here. We're going to pick edge rusher, linebacker Shedeur Stewart out of Texas A&M. This fits a huge gap for defense for the Falcons, who I feel like haven't had a big pass rusher since like Vic Beasley. So this makes a lot of sense. He's a bit raw from a prospect, but he's a game wrecker too. He plays really good against the pass and against the run, so obviously he can be moved pretty much across both sides of the line. He earned a very good rating of 88.2 on PFF run defense grade in 2024. So I think this is also like, I think, one of the best prospects still available in the draft, and Falcons get a need and fill it at 15. I think this is a good pick for them.
Yeah, Shamar Stewart in Dane Brugler's Beast, he was consensus third best edge rusher. So definitely a good value pick on that front. Fab. I have pick 16 with the Arizona Cardinals. This was definitely tough. Cardinals need edge help, but they signed Josh Sweat from the Eagles, and he even thought of some D-line help here. But gonna go with Will Johnson. This was one of the more mediocre pass defenses from a cornerback perspective. Sean Murphy Bunting, among others, was very weak from a PFF coverage perspective. Will Johnson was at one point a top 5 prospect early on during the college football season. Drops a little bit as other positions have gotten more value, but he played a ton of zone at Michigan, and the Cardinals ran the third most amount of zone in 2024. So I think this is going to be a great pick, and they finally get a cornerback who could be a mainstay. Last time they had that was Patrick Peterson. Nacc at your 17 Cincinnati Bengals. Try not to fudge this pick up too much for them.
No, I'm not gonna pick a punter here. Don't worry. They need a lot of help on the defense. That is not. That's obviously something that's well documented, and I think they need a stud. And with the uncertainty as well with Trey Hendrickson, whose shoes are going to be hard to fill, I think this guy here is going to help and fit the bill. I'm selecting Derek Harmon out of Oregon, defensive end. This guy, 6'5", 310, had a really solid season for Oregon last year. Obviously, Oregon did insane until they got to the playoffs. But 5 sacks, 10 QB hurries, 2 forced fumbles. He had also a 17.6% pass rush win rate, which is actually insane. Size, strength, and agility, and he can be versatile, so he could play all throughout the defensive line. So, in my opinion, I think it's a no-brainer pick for the Bengals.
Fireable offense if they were to go anything but defense. Fireable offense.
I feel like they should fire the GM and not let him make any more picks in this actual draft. If they do that.
I love that pick, and Harmon was an absolute beast. And I think that much of a pass rush win rate from a kind of defensive tackle position is very strong. Fab, 18th pick. We have the Seattle Seahawks that are on the clock.
Yeah, not really a super sexy pick, but he is the best guard in the draft, and this is exactly what the Seahawks need to shore up the offensive line and start protecting their new shiny toy in Sam Darnold. This is Tyler Booker out of Alabama. Tyler Booker played most of his snaps.
What do I have to do to get a freaking jingle?
we just hadn't played it in a while.
Appreciate it. I feel like every time I pick you,
I know.
I appreciate that. That's perfect. It's great.
Thanks,
I'm not gonna. All my picks are good picks, is what it means.
Roger's being racist tonight.
How was he being racist?
That was the joke. Okay, keep going.
Booker's built. I mean, he's built like a bull, accordingly to a lot of his prospectives. This fits a need. This fits a need, and he's also the best guard in the draft right now. He's the first guard to go as well. He made first team All-American, first team All-SEC, team captain for Alabama. So he had the leadership qualities to go with the potential and the production to boot, right? So I think this is an easy pick for them too.
It's like the last 4 or 5 picks are pure need picks, but also these are almost like the best players available, which is this draft is way better than what people think. And just because the draft doesn't have the high-end QB or, the high-end wide receivers doesn't mean it's a good draft. Like, it's a trenches, edge, offensive tackle laden draft.
Yeah, I was going to say 4 edges have won in the first 18 picks, right? I mean, and there's more to come.
At pick number 19 of the first round, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So we're going to go with a linebacker here. Usually you don't draft a linebacker this high from a positional value standpoint, not always the highest. But Jihad Campbell out of Bama, saw a lot of comparisons to Derek Brooks.
Yeah.
To me, it's an absolute, and there's a need there. And it's, considering everything, still a BPA, best player available. So I think Jihad Campbell can cover like hell, could potentially rush the passer a little bit, can tackle. And with Levante David being, very near retirement, he re-signed for 1 year. This could be a great pick in terms of pairing them two together, and then he being the heir apparent to that linebacker crew.
No, I like this a lot. Actually, I thought you were going to go wide receiver over here, but this is Jihad Campbell's a great prospect. I know linebacker isn't really. I feel like it's not really emphasized nowadays in defenses, right? Especially like proper linebackers, like true linebackers. You don't really see them as much as they used to, like the Luke Kuechly's of the world and all that stuff. But this is a great pick.
Well, most teams play 2 linebackers now. A lot,
exactly.
Like, there's very few teams play the 3 or, oh my God, even 4 linebackers.
Yeah, Steelers.
Yeah. They're like 3-4, like
3-4 defense.
Like they had 2 middle linebackers. We're gonna go Fab again. Fab, pick 20 for the Denver Broncos. You're on the clock.
He's coming home, ladies and gentlemen. Matthew Golden out of Texas, hometown from Houston, Texas. I'm excited for this pick. I'm excited. Matthew Golden is being drafted by the Denver Broncos.
Explain yourself.
Explain myself. Yes. Bo Nix needs better wide receivers. Period. They already shored up the entire defense. They did a lot of work on the defense and on the offense. They can use Matthew Golden to. I don't see how they don't go wide receiver here, quite frankly. I really, really don't. I think this is a perfect marriage for what they have right now. And then you pair the fact that Bo Nix, rookie, still learning everything. Now you put them all together. I see a lot of Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow vibes here. I'm not saying they're going to be those two. I'm just saying how, you bring up a very young quarterback and a very young wide receiver together. And Matthew Golden is arguably the second best wide receiver in this draft. I say second, I'm not counting Travis Hunter. So I think this is going to be an excellent pair to Courtland Sutton. And also it's going to give a lot more space for Evan Ingram as well. I think this is a great pick. You guys don't seem convinced.
I don't know.
It's kind of a head scratcher to me.
Nacc.
I don't know. Was it really their highest position of need? Was the running back, the wide receiver? Excuse me. I feel like Marion Hampton would have been a nice pick here.
Yes,
I debated that. Yeah, I did. I debated that. That was
now you're leaning more towards the 20th, where it's like it's a little bit more acceptable to use that kind of draft capital.
Yeah.
I guess you want to say for like a running back who's not like Genty. I don't know. It could be a good pick. I feel like I just don't feel. I don't know. I don't know if wide receiver is really the position of huge need, or you can't address it later. I'm saying.
I think your only saving grace is the fact that it's such a running back heavy draft, which you could get a really good talent in the later rounds.
Which again goes into my thought process, because if Matthew Golden wasn't there, I would be debating between Omero Hampton and Emeka Egbuka. Emeka Egbuka.
Who's that player?
Emeka Egbuka. Oh, it's so good.
Emeka Egbuka. Excuse me. And if that was a scenario, I would have been taking Omero Hampton for sure. Matthew Golden still being there at 20. You know what? No, let's go BPA, and he's definitely BPA in my opinion, especially from an offensive standpoint.
I could see. You know what? I could see it happening. Nacc, your Pittsburgh Steelers at 21. We did not jimmy it so that Nacc has the Steelers, ladies and gentlemen. Just somehow, some way.
Some way. I went back and forth with this pick. Seeing that Harmon had gone to the Bengals, that took out that pick. That would have been my Steelers pick for sure. And I keep going back and forth with QB and wide receiver. They haven't picked a wide receiver in the first round since 2006. And I think this is the year that bucks the trend. The Steelers select Emeka Egbuka, Ohio State wide receiver. So many reasons. Pickens' future is in doubt at the moment. They did pay DK Metcalf $30 million. I'm not sure they're ready to pay Pickens on a long-term deal. And so he's probably on a lame duck contract, if not potentially traded later on in this draft. That's where his value would probably be at the highest. But from what I'm hearing, they probably want to keep him. So regardless if Pickens stays or goes in this draft, I don't think he signs a long-term deal. So they're going to need someone opposite DK Metcalf. And this guy, I feel, ticks off all the boxes. Pivotal role in Ohio State's national championship winning season. He he had 81 receptions for 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns. That's 2 years in a row that he had 10 touchdowns with Ohio State. I think his reliability and versatility on the field is what's going to really get him on the field earlier. And he also returned some kickoffs and punts last year too, which could get him onto the field as well early on in his career. But I think that the Steelers need to load up. It's been really bleak at that position the last few years, and having a few studs there is definitely not going to hurt. So that's my pick.
Wouldn't have necessarily picked wide receiver at that spot, but I definitely get the argument. And I've told you, Nacc, I don't think Pickens and Metcalf makes sense. It feels like there's a redundancy there. So whether he's traded this year or next year, or maybe he's traded at the draft next week, I could see myself falling in love with this pick because he's a very good player.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised it was the court. Like Dart wasn't the pick there.
I went back and forth. Decided on the wide receiver instead of the QB. Potentially looking at next year's draft to grab another one.
At pick 22, I have the Los Angeles Chargers, and I am going to go. I mean, this is an easy pick. Tight end, Colston Loveland, reunited with Jim Harbaugh. So Loveland, I think what's different about him than Tyler Warren, just a bit more of a fluid athlete. I don't think he's going to be as good of a blocker. His overall stats, he's never topped 600 receiving yards, excuse me. But Michigan has always been known as a very run-heavy ball control team. So I think this is however, a very nice pick for Justin Herbert. You add him alongside Ladd McConkey. Let's see what happens with Quentin Johnston. Obviously, Mike Williams is back. So because of that, I didn't feel like Matthew Golden would have made sense here. He would have been kind of fourth in the depth chart. So going still a position of need. And Fab, the Will Disley experiment is over.
100%. I love this pick.
Over.
I'm so happy with this pick. You have no idea.
It's over. Absolute baller. So I like Colston Loveland.
Yeah, I like him a lot.
Nacc, pick 23, Green Bay Packers. Who you got?
Yes. So Jair Alexander has been very injury prone and hurt lately, and I'm not sure how much he's got left, if anything, in the tank. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up one of the top cornerbacks in the draft, Mr. Benjamin Morrison out of Notre Dame. Had a fantastic season, and it's funny because his NFL comp are Jair Alexander and Stephon Gilmore for his agility and coverage skills, and also technique and ball hawking ability. So I think it's definitely a position of need for the Packers. Could they have gone another wide receiver here to try to figure out that room? I think that's just too rich for my blood. I think they really need help on the.
They've never taken a wide receiver in the first round.
They don't take offense in the first round. It's very, very, very rare, and I think the trend continues. But they get a dog in Benjamin Morrison. Great year last year too.
Amazing Notre Dame defense. Notre Dame's going to be seen a lot in this draft. They had a really good defensive year. Thank you, Nacc. At pick 24 for the Minnesota Vikings, Fab, you are on the clock.
So we are taking Mr. Nick Emmanwori out of South Carolina, safety.
I'm only
Once
playing the
again, it's
chime because you got the name bang on.
well. I want to thank the people from the Athletic who allow me to phonetically correct and pronounce all the player names. So it's very convenient. Again, this goes back to fitting a need and also being best player available. I know Raj, we had that conversation about Malachi Starks and Eamon Warry being marked graded very similarly. Minnesota have a bit of a need at safety right now, so I think this is a perfect pairing. And this guy's going to be a day one starter from the jump. Um, Size, speed, mindset, everything. Honestly, he projects near more the line of scrimmage, but at the same time, he can play pretty much everywhere in the secondary too. I think last year he had 6 pass breakups, and the year before he had 10. So he's a ball hawker and great leader as well. He was team captain for a while too. Was team captain on his for South Carolina. So I think this is an excellent pick for the Vikings.
You touched on it. They have a need. They lost Cam Bynum to the Colts. Harrison Smith is close to 35 years old, so it's an absolute must. I'd pick 20. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say this is it falls to them perfectly exactly for what you said, right? I mean, this is exactly what they're looking for.
At pick 25, we have a trade to announce. The Cleveland Browns are on the clock from the Texans.
Whoa. Dun, dun, dun.
How did that happen?
I'm going to play it again. So good.
Wait, do we boo you when you come back up now? Boo. No?
So the pick here is, so it's last week we saw that Joe Flacco was signed to the Browns again. So they have a QB room of Kenny Pickett and Joe Flacco. So if we all recall, Joe Flacco was the Ravens QB for such a long time. He brought them to a Super Bowl. And then they brought in a young lad named Lamar Jackson. Flacco backed him up. Flacco also saw that Jackson had the same type of skill set as one Jalen Milroe, who will be the pick here. And Jalen Milroe was very much Jalen Milroe and Lamar Jackson were both quarterbacks considered projects who should have been wide receivers instead.
Jalen Milroe.
With the 20th pick, we're picking Jalen Milroe. I went with this route because of a lot of the buzz that's happened with Milroe and the Browns. He was invited to some private workouts with them, I believe, a few weeks ago. And I just feel if you're gonna if you're gonna go for a QB, you're gonna take a little bit of a swing. Milroe has more upside. Dart is a better QB, but Milroe will have the luxury of sitting down at least a year, 2 years, learning how to play the quarterback position, getting accurate. And what better system or coach to learn from than Kevin Stefanski?
Are the Cleveland Browns playing the QB game the right way? What's going on over here? Trading back into the first round, drafting a QB to sit behind a veteran for a year? What?
Nacc thinks that veteran will be...
They're going to find a way to mess it up.
Nacc thinks the veteran will be Kenny Pickett.
The starter?
Yeah, weren't you saying you think it's going to be Pickett who's going to start?
You think Flacco starts over him? Flacco didn't look good last year. I mean, I guess neither did Pickett for real.
Pickett,
I mean,
man.
yeah, I mean, we're
honestly flip a coin and who's going to start. Like I feel like whoever wins at camp, I guess. I don't know.
Guys, we can't have the debate about who's going to start for the Browns between Flacco and Pickett. We're going to lose all of our viewers, all of our listeners.
Yeah, I say we move on.
Good point. At 26, we have the LA Rams. Nacc, you're on the clock.
Yes, so going back and forth a little bit on this pick too. They struggled. The Rams struggled against pass defense. I guess against elite wideouts and especially in-man coverage. So I think I'm gonna go with Azariah Thomas, a cornerback, Florida State. He's praised actually for being really, really lanky, and his fluidity and physicality make him very effective in press coverage. So this is something that it was definitely lacking with the Rams cornerbacks last year. Pretty good college career. 118 total tackles, 2 interceptions, 15 pass breakups, and a forced fumble. He's compared to Joey Porter Jr. actually in terms of the physicality and potential to be a quality starter, especially on from day one. So I think he tracks to be a really reliable cornerback, and definitely something the Rams are looking for on the back end.
I feel like the Rams either make this move, which I like, take Dart, or they say F them picks and trade and go back to trading down again. Or trading.
Okay, so you think they take the quarterback or trade down?
Yeah. But I like this pick. I like this pick a lot.
I like this pick makes sense to me.
Yeah, it does make sense. It does make sense for sure. They're taking a quarterback either way at some point in this draft because
yeah,
on
sure.
2-year, 3-year run max. Fab, pick 27. The Baltimore Ravens are on the clock.
Yeah, pick 27. Baltimore Ravens out of Texas. The offensive lineman Kelvin Banks Jr. So this is a bit of a long-term and immediate need, actually. So Kelvin Banks Jr. I apologize. He plays the majority of his career at left tackle, but he's actually projected to start at guard in the NFL when he gets drafted. The idea is that he has a prototypical build as a guard, which fits perfectly the need for Baltimore, who had horrible guard play last year. At the same time, their left tackle Stanley is getting a little bit long in the tooth. So the idea is that this will turn into a guard, turn into a left tackle in about 3 to 5 years down the line. So that he's exceptionally ranked. He is the second ranked offensive lineman within the 2025 draft. Again, first team All American, Lombardi Award, first team All SEC. This kid has it all, and another day one starter that's going to give added protection to Lamar Jackson, and so more holes for Derrick Henry to run through and push for another 2,000 yards next year.
Swing tackle. Apparently, he could play at swing offensive lineman who could play at tackle as well at some point. So the Ravens love that versatility. At pick 28, Detroit Lions, I'm going with an edge, and I'm going with Donovan Ezeraku. I went with a very productive player, 17 and a half sacks at BC, Boston College in 2024. Lions like high character guys. I struggled between him and Mike Green, but Mike Green has some potential character issues. I believe there was a sexual assault accusation at Marshall. So I am going to go with the edge, Donovan Ezeraku, and pair him with Aiden Hutchinson.
Nice.
I like it.
At pick 29, I am getting word, yes, we have a trade in the works. We have a trade to announce.
What?
We do have a trade at 29. The Pittsburgh Steelers are on the clock from the Commanders. The Steelers they did exactly what the Browns did. They had to get a QB, get back into the first round, and they are selecting Mr. Jackson Dart. Oh, I can't wait to say that name on Sundays. Dart. Throws a dart. Yeah, look, obviously a position of need for the Steelers. I know it's a guy they liked coming into the draft, and many thought they were going to get him at 21. But they got aggressive this year and decided to go back into the first round, give it up a little draft capital, some for this year, some for next. Look, he had a productive college career. I guess the knock on him is that he didn't play very many good teams, and he didn't play very well against the good teams, except for one game versus Roger.
He played decently against Georgia. I think it was Georgia. He played decently.
Yeah, but that's kind of like the knock on him. Really, is that he didn't play the top end teams. He is still a project, so hopefully after they do sign Aaron Rodgers, he sits after.
That's what I was gonna say.
Sits a year.
That's happening. That's like big night out happen, and
that was my next question. Actually,
you knew that wasn't gonna happen. Then come on, that was like for sure not gonna happen.
We're just waiting for the other shoe to drop. I mean,
but Nacc, seriously, do you like real life draft, are you convinced the Steelers are taking a QB, whether they trade back into
They
the
will,
first or at 21?
they will, if they don't do something like this, which is, again, it's very aggressive, but I've read a lot of beat writers and saying that they're going to be aggressive this draft. So whether it's trading players to get back up, whether it's trading picks, like we don't know. But end of the day, regardless, there's a QB getting picked from this draft on this team, regardless of Aaron Rodgers, regardless of anything. Like right now, it's Mason Rudolph and Skylar Thompson. So they're gonna sign a vet. I feel like if Rodgers doesn't sign, they sign someone like Carson Wentz, who's the only one available vet wise out there, and they definitely draft a quarterback, whether it's like a Shuck or um, they even had
Or
McCord in for a visit,
Yeah.
like something like that down the line, like late draft pick, six round, something like that.
just throwing it out there, and you guys don't have to respond. Will Levis for George Pickens?
Ugh.
How do you? That's the definition of two teams losing a trade. Will Levis for George Pickens? No.
I said you guys didn't have to respond. At pick 30, the Buffalo Bills.
You can't say that and then just like
we gotta move on.
I don't understand. I don't get it.
We
We got to move on. Let me drop this grenade and walk away, but we got to move on.
just something for listeners to think about.
You guys don't think about it. Let's move on.
Pick 30, Buffalo Bills. Fab, you are on the clock.
Yeah. So this is I'm taking defensive tackle Kenneth Grant out of Michigan. So the defensive line partner to Mason Graham. He might not be as highly touted as Mason Graham, but he is still a stud on that defensive line, which is another need that the Buffalo Bills sorely needed. Their defensive line, especially from a defensive tackle perspective, was really not that good. So now you're bringing in Kenneth Grant, who's a big boy, plays big in a big man's game. We're talking about a guy who had 5 and 6.5 sacks respectively over the last 2 years, and also a decent amount of pass breakups too. Average about 5 per year as well. So this is going to be a very very good player for the Buffalo Bills for a very long time to come, and they fill him in at the number 30 spot, which is a value pick as well.
Big need here. I've seen D-line for sure. I've seen Maxwell Hairston or Trey Amos as well here at the cornerback position. But either of those two positions, I think would have been very good for the Beals. At 31, I have the Kansas City Chiefs. Mike Breen, bang! Not Mike Breen from the NBA Knicks. Mike Green from Marshall will be the pick here. The Chiefs like their low character players, so they're going to go BPA here. 17 sacks at Marshall in 2024, and this guy could be a stud. He could be a Pro Bowler, but his character issues made him slide down.
I think the risk is worth the reward at that spot.
Yes, absolutely. And final pick of the first round, pick 32, Nacc. Who do the Eagles have?
Yeah, the Eagles had a little trouble covering some tight ends and running backs last year, coming out of the basically in space. I'm going to go with Barrett Carter out of Clemson, linebacker. He's great in space and a modern kind of 3-down linebacker who's great in coverage, and something like I mentioned, the Eagles have lacked, especially last season. So I think great fit. Projected to go low first, early second, so I think it slides right in with need. Could they have gone another direction? I think there was some nice like cornerbacks still left, but I think they've shored up that position last year. So I think they go with a position of need here, and they picked a linebacker.
That concludes the first round, marathon first round. I think we did pretty well. The goal of this wasn't to see how many picks we get correctly. It's more, I would say, to give you a better sense of who these prospects are, where they could potentially land, and what kind of the range could be in terms of where they can go in the draft. So that's how we had it for the first round. Very quickly, we had some key players that we wanted to note in terms of second rounders. So we ended up at 34, second round, the Giants ended up taking Tyler Shuck. So Giants get their QB of the future. We at 35, the Titans, we had Luther Burton III, kind of getting them another explosive wide receiver. The Treylon Burks experience has been an absolute failure. So they get some explosiveness that they haven't had since the AJ Brown trade. At 38 in the second round for the Patriots, we had Jalen Noel. They get a little bit of juice to add to Stephon Diggs, 4.39 speed. He could be very good in the slot. He could spell a little bit at flanker as well.
Hopefully they don't ruin him.
Yeah, man, they've ruined a lot of wide receivers.
Yep.
Like, this is the anti-wide receiver you. At pick 39, right after the Pats, we have the Bears. This is where we had Omarion Hampton. Look, I don't think he lasts this long in the real draft, but the way we saw it in this mock draft, just really didn't see a scenario where running back made a lot of sense for some of these first-round teams. This makes a lot of sense for the Bears. And if you look at kind of the Ben Johnson lines type rotation, I think Roshan Johnson and Omarion Hampton act as a David Montgomery, and DeAndre Swift acts as the Jahmyr Gibbs. At 42, we had the Jets, Mason Taylor. We only thought it was noteworthy because he is Joy Taylor's nephew. But tight end, no, but
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, so he's Jason Taylor's son. Tight end is a key piece in the Tanner Engstrand offense, where he comes from the Lions, where obviously he had Sam Laporta, and he was the consensus third ranked tight end in college. At 44, we had Travion Henderson at running back, explosive back. I think he'll fit well in Shoddy's zone scheme. At 50 for the Seahawks, had Jaden Higgins, wide receiver out of Iowa State. So he's the big-bodied wide receiver to replace DK Metcalf. And I think he complements JSN and Cooper Kupp very well. The Broncos finally get their wide receiver at pick 51 with Caleb Johnson. Sorry, Nacc. Caleb Johnson out of Iowa. It's not necessarily the best scheme fit, but I think he'll be a solid player from day one. And then last but not least, at 54, we just thought it'd be interesting to mention the Packers getting Jalen Royals out of Utah State. Really good wide receiver, good hands. And again, just felt the Packers need a wide receiver that could catch the ball.
Indeed, they do.
Yes, they do.
Guys, any final thoughts?
Not a fan of Tyler Shuck for the Giants at 34, but I guess
remains to be seen. Wow.
Well, would you prefer McCord?
Yeah, maybe later on in the draft though. But if I guess depending on how things are rolling in the draft and all that, I mean, I can't necessarily comment. I like picking a QB at that spot. It just wouldn't be Shuck.
Yeah.
I mean, this is assuming that Milroe is going to go, and this is assuming that Dart's most likely going to go in the first round, and Milroe too, right? So it makes sense.
Wow, something you don't like for the Giants. I didn't know if I'd see the day.
Of course. A lot of things I don't like for the Giants.
I'm confused.
I'm still a fan anyways.
Like Russell Wilson, but Tyler Shuck, no. Don't give me that noise.
Want to have this conversation? We're already an hour in.
Yeah, nope. Let's keep it for the draft reaction, guys. Thank you so much for listening. That was a lot of fun. Hope you enjoyed our first ever mock draft. If you like it enough, we'll do another one next year. If you don't, well, we'll keep it to the experts. As always, you could follow us on Spotify, YouTube, Apple, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and wherever you get your social media and podcast. On behalf of Fab and Nacc, I'm Raj. Have a great evening, and we'll see you next week.
Peace out, everyone.
Let's go. I can't see how many we had right. Be cool to do a recap, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. We spent enough time on this.
Yeah,
we did a lot of research on this.
Peace out, everyone.
Peace out, everyone.
Goodbye.